Hey, it's Bilal from Pacific Workers, and today I want to talk about treatment authorization issues. It's a big issue. It comes up a lot in our cases here at our office, and I'm sure for everyone else too. It's an issue that's not necessarily unique to any specific case. If you're on medication, you're in workers' comp, you probably come across this issue. For those that don't know, workers' comp has something called utilization review, which is a process by which the insurance company can either deny or authorize treatment requested by a medical doctor. And this applies to a variety of things. It can be surgeries, MRIs, EMG study, physical therapy, and probably the most popular issue, medication. And so when your doctor requests a prescription or gives you a prescription of medication and requests authorization for the insurance company may deny it. They can also authorize it partially, meaning they can fill part of the prescription. So if your doctor says, you know what, I want to give you 30 Norcos, the insurance company may only authorize 15 and saying we're modifying the authorization to be partial authorization rather than a full authorization. Alternatively, they can authorize the whole thing. If the treatment's denied, you can go through a process called IMR, or independent medical review, which means that you appeal the decision of the insurance company denying either in full or in part the doctor's request for authorization for the prescription that they gave you. If you receive a denial for the medication from IMR, then generally your treatment won't be authorized, so you can't get the medication unless it is partially authorized. You can only get the partially authorized amount. Now, once you've actually got your prescription authorized, there's another issue that we see all the time, and that's actually getting it filled by the pharmacy. A lot of people have a doctor's office, and the doctor's office doesn't have the prescription medication there, so you'll have a pharmacy like Walgreens or CVS, Rite Aid, one of those, and you'll go there to actually fill your prescription. And so what we see a lot is that medication will get authorized, but it won't necessarily get communicated to the pharmacy. And so you show up at the pharmacy, you have your prescription thinking you're ready to go, and the pharmacy will say this is not authorized. And so usually this issue is resolved either by one of two ways. You either bug the crap out of your insurance adjuster, and if they're not there, you ask for their supervisor. Always ask for the supervisor. And if that's not helping, and you need the medication right away, you can always try and pay out of pocket for it. And normally this is a scary thing because medication is expensive, and a lot of people will say, hey, you know what, if I put medication on my credit card, maybe I'm not going to get it authorized, I'm not going to be able to pay it back. And usually that's not the case. If your medication was authorized and you're a vendor, you're a pharmacist, and for whatever reason they haven't received it yet, and you pay out of pocket because the insurance adjuster didn't do their job or there was a screw up in the system, you can always get your money back after the fact. And you can always ask for reimbursement. And sometimes reimbursement may take a little bit. It can take 45 to 60 days. Sometimes insurance adjusters will pay reimbursement right away. It really depends on the situation. But if you do pay out of pocket, you can request your costs back. And often this is something that we either have to request by going to the court to get the judge to order it, or simply just negotiating with the adjuster and figuring out what happened and trying to remedy the situation right away rather than fighting over it. Now, if you're in a position where your treatment authorization wasn't issued, and or your pharmacy wasn't authorized in time and it's nothing innocent, you can always try and request penalties and sanctions, and that's something we actually get on the back end all the time. And penalties and sanctions are usually determined by the value of the treatment. Sometimes there's some penalties on top of that in the form of attorney's fees if an attorney's involved. But just know that at the end of the day, whether you have to pay out of pocket or fight with the insurance company to get the adjuster to authorize it, it's not going to be your liability at the end of the day. And this is usually a big issue when someone has medication, and it's medication for something they need that's kind of, I guess, make or break for their life. Whether it's heart medication, diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, whatever the case may be, there's some medications that people need and they can't wait. And so my message for the people who have those medications and authorization issues is to don't wait. If you do have to pay out of pocket, pay out of pocket. And ultimately, don't be afraid that you're not going to get your money back, because in most cases we can actually get you repaid and some. So every case is different, but just be aware that if you're having issues, don't wait around, be proactive, contact the adjuster, their boss. If you've got an attorney, bug your attorney. If you don't have an attorney, get an attorney. If you don't want an attorney, you can always contact information and assistance at the appeals board, but do something. Don't rest on your laurels. It's incredibly important that if you are prescribed medication, that you do what you can to get the medication you need and get it right away.